Hi everyone. Hi. Yes, it's Eileen. People like to remember it. You know that song, "Come On, Eileen."
Yeah.
That's quite a good way of kind of remembering it. And yes, so my role at Cornerstone, I started off with a job title which is very specific to fostering, which is responsible individual, which is a bit of an unusual title and causes much hilarity amongst my family and friends. And I'm not quite sure that I've ever been referred to as being responsible before. Anyway, but yeah, then very kind of quickly became, just because the needs of the organisation, became kind of service manager as well. So I wear those two particular hats. And I've been with Cornerstone this time round since September of last year. So almost a year. That's just gone so quickly in many respects. But I also previously had a role within Cornerstone as a trustee, and then also as the agency decision maker, going back a few years. But at that time we were really tiny, and there wasn't an awful lot for me to do, except meet with our fellow trustees regularly, which was lovely. But part of that time I was working abroad as well, so for me it was a virtual thing, also. So yeah, I think like many people in Cornerstone, we get recycled in different ways over the years. So yeah. There's definitely Pam, our founder, has got an ability to just kind of like pull people back in and give them different tasks, allocate. So so it's my delight to be back again. In a very, very different role, much more kind of hands-on and much more kind of it's a much more active role than before. Yeah, I feel very strongly. I think perhaps because most of the work they've done, and a lot of the work I've done, has actually we're working with birth families, and you're working to actually try and keep children at home and to support families to make sure that they can offer the best possible care. And very often they're incredibly vulnerable. They've had multiple challenges. It may be, and not in every instance, but it may be that their experience has been very, very challenging, very difficult. So consequently, them being able to kind of offer the best possible care for the children, it has all sorts of difficulties and all sorts of problems. They may well have experienced kind of significant, or may well continue to be in kind of abusive relationships, where they're tied into that and they're locked in, and it's very, very difficult to leave that. And they're trying to prioritise their children and keep their children safe, and yet they themselves are extremely kind of like vulnerable in terms of kind of like abuse and not being able, or not feeling they can escape. Very often women are tied into these situations because there's that economically that they're kind of like, what else are they going to do? They're going to end up street homeless with children, for example, or homeless. So there's all sorts of ways in which. So for me, I think that all of that has a bearing on why a person then gets to the point where they actually can't look after the children. And we as Cornerstone, as one organisation, kind of step in and offer alternative care. And our foster carers are amazing. But I think for me, I do feel often brokenhearted for birth families who, for whatever reason, have not been able to care for their own children. And then that then means that, they need to look elsewhere. And I think for us, what's so important is that we've got a whole variety of amazing foster carers who offer different things, and they're all different, and a child's experience is different. But they offer, which is really, really important at the heart of what we do, is that we really want to love that child as if that child was their own child. And we want to care for them in the same way, so that at least, perhaps, and not in every instance, but that birth families who've had to give up their child, and very often who know, that's not what they've wanted at all, but that at least they could have, or possibly, not in every instance, but can have some reassurance that that child is going to really be taken care of and looked after, and that child will be cared for, by families that really love them and really want to do it, and they've got a heart to do it, not just about, and we all know that fostering is never about the money. There's never going to be enough money at all to pay our carers for the wonderful jobs that they do, but But yeah, I think for them it's a calling as well, isn't it? So, but yeah, no, I feel often when we're asked to take care of children, I do immediately kind of feel my first thought is actually obviously for the children being separated from their parents, but from the parents as well, and how that must feel for them. I think I think for me it's kind of is that sure and certain knowledge that I'm not on my own, and that whatever the situation is that I'm in, then I'm faced with, then I know that I'm not in that situation as a sort of solitary person, even in terms of having to make decisions, that I've got a reassurance that God's with me and that he promises to never ever leave me, but also that I can ask for wisdom, and I can ask for, okay, what's the solution in this situation? What should we do best? What's the answer? And it's not to say that one person's got that singular answer for something. I feel like that if I think about situations working in refugee camps with thousands of people, and you've got responsibility for decision making in relation to actually what we're going to do with regards to supporting 5,000 people or 15,000, that's not a decision for one person, but I think that just knowing that rather than feeling completely overwhelmed by what we're faced, is being able to say, well, Father, what's the best thing in this situation? What's the best course of action? What's going to be in the best interest of a child, for example, if it's a child that we're being asked to consider? So for me, I suppose it's at the core of who I am, is my relationship with God, that thankfully is not, I don't feel like that can be separated from me, because I've been a Christian for a very, very long time, through choice, not just through inheritance, and well, it's inheritance, isn't it, but not through birth, but making a choice to kind of follow Jesus. But I find it very, very difficult to imagine what that would look like, not being able to just kind of say, you know what, Father, I need help here, I'm really kind of struggling, or I'm feeling on my own in this, or or that I need your help, or I need your joy. I mean, joy is really important to me. I think that is so important. So I'm thankful that I've got a lot of joy, even in the midst of very sad situations. I feel like I can, which is, I feel is a gift. Yeah. Oh, there's loads. We went on the Cornerstone holiday recently, and that was my first opportunity to really just to kind of spend time with lots of families, lots of children, and colleagues as well. And it was just great fun. And I loved the way that people supported each other, and they were kind of there for each other. So there was little conversations, there was people helping each other. It was just so lovely to kind of see, and people have referred to a Cornerstone family, but I've only seen parts of that and bits of that in the time that I've worked with the organisation. Just my job's not, I've not had the opportunity to kind of see that really kind of coming together, but that was really quite amazing. That was just a really special time, and just seeing how much people just cared about each other and were interested in their situation. So I loved that, but I just also love just spending time with the families, and maybe if there are some challenges and some difficulties, maybe just talking through what options might be in terms of problem solving, and looking at what these options. I think if you start off life as a kind of like a frontline social worker, you always feel a pull towards that. That's the bit that you really enjoy. And also, of course, spending time with the kids as well. That was just great fun too. I beat one young person at table football, and to my shame, was running around the place going, "Champione!" But and this 10-year-old said, "I've been beaten by a granny." Thanks very much. He was quite mortified that this older person had beat him. And I think if I'd been kind, I would have let him win, but I just feel a little bit competitive. So my family fostered when I was younger, and that has its challenges. That absolutely has its challenges, having kind of teenagers in the house, particularly. And And I think it definitely has to be something that you kind of really feel like it's trying to just kind of like maybe just sum it up, because it involves all of your life, doesn't it? It's not like going out to a job 9 to 5, come home, you switch off your computer, that's it. It actually is it's a selfless task, because it's very much about actually sharing all of you and all that you have and your family with, a child, children, a young person in difficulty, and also then sharing your life, part of your life, with the birth family as well, because that's could be, that's often kind of required. And I think that that's something that you really it needs to be a considered approach. And that also people should, when people are thinking about it, think about some of the challenges as well as some of the absolute joys that there are in sharing your home and seeing somebody's life turn around, and people kind of learning and feeling less scared and more confident and just, progressing and meeting milestones and smiling and laughing, whereby for a lot of young people or children that may not have been part of their earlier experience. So being able to actually have a contribution and be able to kind of feed into that in some ways, incredible. So I would say it's definitely something that people should consider, absolutely. And if there's not a specific role, say looking after a child in your home is not an option on a full-time basis, there's all sorts of other kind of possibilities as well. You could be a connected carer, you could be somebody that actually offers a bit of support and a little bit of kind of time out. You could be somebody and a child might come and stay with you. We've got loads of amazing carers who offer short breaks. So a child goes and stays with the family for a short period of time, a weekend, during the holidays, those types of things. So I almost kind of feel like there's always a role for somebody somewhere. And it might be that within your kind of sphere of influence, your church, your family, your friends, you might have people that are fostering and have adopted, and they'll have needs as well. If you just kind of say to them, how can I best support you? What can I do? Can I offer, something quite small, but I think that's going to go a long way to people feeling supported. So, but yeah, definitely have a think about it, have a pray about it, just kind of see, God, is this something that you want me to do?
Eileen, we do know Eileen, but she's been excellent. When we called her, we say we need this help, we are struggling. So she spoke to us, she listened to us, and she didn't know us, but she been amazing. I can't describe how amazing she's been. And the prayer, when she prayed with us, we felt that support that we need, really need at that moment to talk to someone, because we didn't know what to do. Well, we've been blessed to talk to her.
I think if my situation was different, and you never know how, I kind of feel like sometimes God, prepares us for things for the future. But I would love to have some kind of provision to support unaccompanied minors. So children who come as refugees but without family to this country. I would really, and in the past I've explored that as a possibility. I've looked at premises, this type of thing. It hasn't quite happened yet. But I really feel like I would love for children to have a family experience, not to come here, as a young teenager. A lot of them are like 13, 14 and maybe have got no family at all and are very quickly are being expected to be adults. But that's not for now. I mean, so we never know how that might kind of work out in the future. But I would love to just see just amazing support and provision for young people who come, and from other countries in particular. So